roll it.
What was shameless was actually in London too, before the Olympics. Brett and I did like an NBC interview together, and he had me hold his paddle that had Power Bar stickers on it. And I was like, whoa! Why am I holding it? You're
I'm
the one
not
getting
getting
paid
any
for
money.
this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, did he pass on the Power Bar sponsorship to you whenever he left?
Well, it's not. That's not how it works.
No.
What I wish that had been passed off to me was the Nike sponsorship.
Oh, yeah,
That would have been
Nike.
sweet, but they won't even talk to me.
Really?
They don't want anything to do with me.
Oh,
I'm not cool enough for
all
them.
he needs a gold medal.
I know. I know. Well, yeah, Brett never had anything like that. He's just very good at talking to people. Like, out of all of us, he had the most and the best sponsorships because he was good at talking to people.
You're good at talking to people.
I'm working on it. I'm trying.
I think you're really good at talking to people.
Yeah. Other than that, Brett had a very frustrating canoe slalom career because he was right behind Scotty Parsons the
He
entire
was
time.
always really good, but his mind game was what got in his way. So.
Siri had trouble with that.
Okay, so
it
Casey,
Yep.
last time World Championships were in the U.S., 1989. Where were you?
During the 1989 World Championships in '89, I was I was in my mom's belly. She was about 6 months pregnant with me, and my mom and dad were volunteers for the '89 Worlds. So it was really exciting. I like to think maybe I could have heard the roar of the whitewater and the crowd as John Lugbill paddled by, and probably sort of groomed me to have him as my idol later in years.
So what did get you started? How old were you, and what got you on the water?
My parents were recreational paddlers long before I was even born, and at some point along the way, they met at a family-friendly race and started paddling together. And then at some point, I came along, and it was natural for me to end up in the boat. And so they tell me stories about going along the rivers, and I would just fall asleep for the flat water sections, and I'd wake up for the whitewater, get all excited, and then just pass right back out again for the flat water. And my earliest memories are actually in a boat. I remember being on the James River with my dad, and there's a stretch where there's lots of little islands, and you take me off to this one really calm area and stick PVC poles into the sand, and those would be my slalom gates, and I would just toddle around through them, and if anything happened, I didn't want help. I always wanted to do it on my own, and my dad with his silly little yellow and black camera, just always pointing and clicking. But I think that's the earliest memory that I have, and so it's just kind of part of my family, something that we all did, and it just turned out that it became my career.
So you went to the Olympics in 2008 in C2. How long were you and Ricky paddling together before the Olympics?
Ricky and I knew each other for a long time. We met when I was about 5. He was this annoying little kid that was bugging my dad, and then somehow that grew into the relationship that we have today. Along the way, we traveled together with both sets of parents across the country, going to all sorts of races. At some point, we decided it would be fun to get into C2, and we played with that a little bit while we were younger, and then we started to focus again on our single boats. And then in 2006, we actually bought a C2, and we were like, hey, well, let's do this. We want a new challenge, something fun to do, and so we got the boat and we started training, and then we started focusing primarily on the C2. And so by 2008, we had a really great team to compete against, and each team pushed each other a lot. And I think that's the reason we got as good as we did. And in the end, we had the better final Olympic selection race, and it took us to the 2008 Beijing Games, and that was just...
Who was the other C2 team?
The other C2 team that we competed against was Austin Crane and Scott McCluskey, some great athletes, and just, they pushed us. We got to train together on a regular basis in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Whitewater Center there, and it was a great situation. Each team growing together, so we just constantly kept pushing each other until we got to where we were.
So now you're paddling C1 and C2, and actually went to the 2012 Olympics for C1.
So after 2008, Ricky and I decided to split back to our individual boats. And shortly after that, the rules changed and allowed us to race multiple disciplines. So I was really excited about the idea of getting to race C1 and C2. And so after a little while of just C1 on the national team, I talked to Devin McEwen and said, hey man, let's let's do this. And he said, absolutely. So we jumped into C2 around late 2010, early 2011, and so we started training in both boats. It was a great time. I mean, it's been really, really good for me to train in multiple boats, especially for the C2. As the sternman, it's it's given me a whole new outlook on how I can paddle my C1. It's made me stronger physically, and so by the time 2012 came around, we were advancing in both C2 and C1. Unfortunately, we didn't make the Olympic team in C2, but I did go on to make the Olympic team in C1, which was another incredible experience that, you just don't forget getting to go to the Olympics. Whether you did well or not, it's an incredible experience. And so now that the 2016 Olympics are on their way, Devin and I are charging ahead in C2, and as I continue to do so in the C1, and just pushing to maybe be the first American to get to go to the Olympics in 2 separate classes.
Who motivates you now? Who's pushing you now?
Honestly, I think my biggest motivation is myself. I had this dream start really early for me. One of my favorite stories to tell is my dad made a little green canoe for me for a Halloween costume one year when I was 2 years old, and on the side of it said 2004 Olympics. And so that was a little ambitious, but I got to go in 2008. And so, I've had this dream and these goals, and I've always wanted to fulfill them. And so I know that not everything in life happens the way you want to, but I'm still young, and I've got a lot of time and a lot of motivation and determination. And so I'm going to continue to push because, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. So I'm just going to keep paddling to that goal.
What do you think of the ASCII course?
The ASCII course is very exciting. I like it. It's so different from any of the courses that we've gotten to compete on before. There's aspects of it that we can find in other courses, but now they're all together in one. We've got swirly eddies, we've got bubbly, inconsistent water, but honestly, a lot of athletes look at that as a pain, and I kind of see it as an opportunity. If you have all of these difficult pieces of water, well then, if you learn to be really good on that, then why shouldn't you be good on be great on even, all the other courses throughout the world? And so I enjoy the opportunity and the challenge that this course presents us with. I kind of have a little bit of an upper hand, having had this be my home course a little bit on and off through a couple summers. I got to raft guide here a number of years. That said, the course has actually changed a good bit since I started guiding, and so I'm really excited to learn all of these new rapids and learn the new tricks to each of those rapids. So training went really well this morning, so I think I'm starting to fall into the flow of the river here.
You recently got a new C1 boat. You want to tell us about that?
So I got a new Vita Scream. I kind of jumped on the bandwagon with everybody. They were all getting this boat. They were like, yeah, this is the new cool thing to do. It took me a little while, honestly, to get used to it. The edges were a little different. The rocker was different. But now I'm loving it. And I'm having a blast with it. My kind of thing, or my symbol, is like this wave design. So a lot of my C1s have had this wave design, and I let my girlfriend Sarah design it. So she likes that because she gets to kind of be a part of my boat, and I even let her sign the inside of it. And then I get her name with me in the start gate. It's silly, but it's helpful, and it doesn't distract me. It kind of it's like I'm getting to take a little part of her with me every time I go down the race course.
Coming into the World Cups, strategy for C1 coming into World Cups and the World Championships ahead.
So there's a saying that we like, or as athletes we like to say, champions are made in the off season. And so coming into this season, I'm not going to change anything. Honestly, I like what I've been doing these past few years. Each season I've grown, I've moved my rank higher and higher, and I'd just like to continue on that path. I train hard and efficiently during the winter, and so now I'm just trying to make sure that I'm comfortable and confident in all sorts of whitewater. I like to build my bag of tricks or my little encyclopedia, so that even if I haven't been on a river before or seen a certain type of water, I have an idea already built up in my mind from past experiences. Like, okay, I see this wave, I know what's going to happen and how I need to react with it. And so that's what I'm striving for every time. And so I'll just take all of this knowledge that I've built up in the past years in the off seasons and bring it into the race season. And ideally, it will all come together and I'll just be able to push that rank even higher.
You've been compared to John Ludlow with your paddling style. How do you feel about that?
I think that's an incredible honor. John Lugbill was a historical paddler for us. Unfortunately, never making it into any of the Olympics, he has multiple world championship titles and just an incredible athlete. Between his determination, his motivation, his self-discipline to train. I've heard that he did a lot of training on his own and a lot of it took place on the flat water. You know, it's funny, you think that you have to train primarily on whitewater to be great, but that's not necessarily where it comes from. Honestly, you want to be a strong person all around and then have a great head game, and I think that that's something that was a good strength for him. But he was a very powerful paddler. You know, he took long, hard strokes but had a high stroke rate, and I think that is something similar to what I have, and I don't mind that comparison. I hope that I get to follow in his footsteps and leave such a great legacy that he has as well.
How do you feel about the World Championships being here not only in America and Maryland, but as you said, a home course for you?
I feel great that we get to have World Championships here. Many of us have felt that it's been long overdue that the United States gets a large international event. I'm excited to have all the athletes come to us for once, you know. Now I don't have to get on a plane for 8 hours and fly to them. They get to fly to us. So that's really exciting. Having the home course advantage is nice, you know. Last year at the World Championships in Prague, the Czechs had a great race, and you could say that that was a home field advantage, but I think on the other hand, they are also incredible athletes, and so, you know, that's what every athlete is looking to do, is be a great athlete. You can race great on any course, not just your home course. And so I'm excited to see how everything goes. I've had some good races here in the past. I've gotten to compete with some great paddlers like Michael Marticon during our team trials a couple years ago, and that was a great experience. Getting to see how he learns a new course and maybe take some of those you know, tips from him and apply them to my own training as I explore other courses and maybe even courses I've been to before, and I can use those to, you know, grow my encyclopedia for that course as well.
Good. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't ask you?
Power bar?
Nope.
I'm not that shameless. I don't even know if it's in the shot, honestly.
You can take a drink now at the end of your... All right, cool, thank you.
We are ready.
Oh, yeah.
You want me to do a re-up?
Just all the time.
All right, we are ready.
We are ready.